All right, you guys, this is Courtney from Willis Bloom, and I am back to talk to you today about the new moon in Pisces happening on March 2nd. This is a really big new moon in the sense that so much is going on. There are tons of really powerful conjunctions happening, and I'm going to break it down for all of the rising signs, so make sure you stay tuned. But I would definitely recommend listening to this beginning portion, talking about the overview, because there's a lot of important information and important worldwide events happening right now, as I'm sure you are well aware with Russia invading the Ukraine. And that is definitely represented in the astrology right now. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and start off by talking about the elephant in the room, which is the war that is currently going on, or invasion, or whatever you want to call it, of Russia into the Ukraine. So I'm just not going to give my political beliefs because honestly, I don't really have that many. But I just want to talk about what I'm seeing in the astrology with Mars conjunct Pluto. If you look back at my 2022 overview, I'm positive that I would have mentioned the violence that tends to erupt with Mars conjunct Pluto. So this is a time when I had a friend describe it as a D swinging contest, I think, if you know what I'm saying. And that definitely has that type of energy with Mars conjunct Pluto, as there's a need to win, to dominate, to prove one's power, to get what one wants in this kind of situation. And you're willing to resort to violence or subversive tactics in order to make that happen. Mars is the god of war, and Pluto is the god of the underworld. So when these come together in the sky, it does, of course, tend to bring about relative destruction of some sort. The good news, though, is that we are having a lot of other things happening in the sky right now, with Venus coming in and with the new moon in Pisces conjunct Jupiter. There's a lot of loving support and opportunities for surrender, blessings, peace. Pisces generally has to do with this act of compassion and nonviolence. And so I do think the surrounding elements around this Mars conjunct Pluto are showing that this current state is going to give way really quickly into some sort of resolution. At least that is my thing. I think that there is going to be some kind of new establishment that will come about, some kind of new order. And I think for a lot of us, that can also be seen in our personal lives as well, having some kind of new order within a relationship or within our relationship with ourselves, something breaking down that wasn't really actually solid, that wasn't that the tension was building within, essentially. Like there was a lot building and building and building, and then finally you say something, or something breaks, or something happens in order for that tension to be released. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing here with the Mars conjunct Pluto, is that this has been an ongoing building tension on a world level as well as a personal level. But I do see in the astrology, as well as this past year and a half or 2 years, just how much we don't want to fight right now. I think that people disagree, but none of us are having this rev up of violence that we actually want to commit to long term. Maybe there are impulsive desires to break free, maybe impulsive desires to end things, but ultimately it's only going to end or to change and transform of some sort if it's not working and the tension was building. And I think ultimately, I think this new moon is going to show us what we want to remain. So the Mars conjunct Pluto can bring about some level of feistiness in our lives, where we might even kind of have this. I mean, I've seen this particularly in some people, but it's not going to be across the board. It really depends on where it's hitting in your chart. But some people might go to the extent of having like a fuck it kind of attitude. Like, fuck it, I don't want to deal with any of this. I'm just going to throw out all of this. But I think the thing with Mars is to, yes, it's okay to be angry, to be upset, to want to change things with Pluto, but to also be mindful to not be too impulsive and throw out the things that are working. And so this is our opportunity to have conflict create some kind of resolution or catharsis or release in our life that has been really, really long overdue. So this isn't something that's been, I know it's a new moon, but this isn't something that's been cropping up out of nowhere. Like, this has been going on for a very, very long time. And I think, again, the war with Russia and Ukraine, or the conflict, or whatever you want to call it, the bombing, essentially all of that is not an overnight thing. Even though it did happen overnight, everything, something happens in an instant, of course, but there's so much background information building up to that moment. And that's really what I see here. So I think Mars being with Pluto is totally different because it's conjunct Venus as well. So even though Mars conjunct Pluto is really typical for a signal of war, because Venus is exactly there as well, it's going to bring that potential for harmony, for that new order, for some kind of negotiation, or at the bare minimum, some type of ceasefire. So there is an underlying desire for peace, even in this state of conflict, and even in this state of destruction. So I think that that's the good news out of all of this, is that I feel like the current tension is going to be short-lived and will be surpassed by the desire to create a higher level understanding or a higher level harmony in our lives or in some type of relationship. Or I also kind of saw, when I was looking at this, some level of a new beginning, but maybe one that doesn't feel fully satisfying to all. So that might be a potential, specifically with like the Russia-Ukraine situation, where it's just like ultimately it's like both sides are losing. And I see that at some point people might just be like, I just don't want to fight anymore. Like, I'm done. That's the kind of energy that I'm seeing with this. So I feel like regardless, there's going to be some type of negotiation reached sooner rather than later. And I don't see this escalating further. And if it does, I don't see it escalating very much further. It would just be a slight bit. So that's the good news about the bad news, essentially. And now let's talk a little bit about specifically the sun and moon during this time, which are going to be conjunct in the sign of Pisces. So as I've mentioned, Pisces is a spiritual sign of compassion, of empathy, of mutual understanding. It tends to be self-sacrificial or giving. And that's why I kind of feel like with the Russia-Ukraine situation, one person might have to give up a little bit more, aka Ukraine might have to at some point, cede in ways that they didn't want to. Or if you're in a conflict with someone, you might just have to, for the good of the group, there might have to be one person that does kind of not take one for the team, but maybe the exact solution that they want that would best benefit them isn't going to be super available. It's like everyone has to give up a little bit. It's a sense of compromise that isn't 100% fulfilling for everyone. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting about this, but it's for the ultimate desire of peace and resolution and just putting this issue to bed. And so if it's not a major need in your life, if it's not an absolute core need that you cannot budge on even a little bit, then I would suggest being open-minded to maybe getting an 80% solution if there is a conflict or a problem coming up in your life or in some type of relationship. That might not be the case. This might just be something that's more on the worldview level. Again, it depends on how it hits your chart. And of course, if you want an astrology reading, if you want to see how this hits your chart, if you want to understand more about your nature, you can check that out in the description box below. So as I mentioned, the sun and moon are next to each other in the sky in the sign of Pisces at 12 degrees. And I felt really called to look up what that degree meant. And it was fascinating, actually, what I discovered, because if you've heard of something called the Sabian symbols, then you'll know that each degree of the zodiac has its own kind of figurative language surrounding it, its own type of symbolism and meaning around it. So a lot of different meanings for every single degree of every single sign. And so 12 degrees of Pisces is about having some kind of judgment. So it's like life in one way is testing us to see if we are ready to move on into the next phase, to give us a kind of like a summary or a wrap up of what we're dealing with and see if we're ready to grow, to move on. So I think a lot of us could be experiencing this where we're moving from one chapter into another and we're experiencing these final tests from the universe and is asking us, are you ready to step up or are you ready to shrink back into the old And do you feel like you don't have what it takes yet? Because that's a possibility too. Another way that this judgment can come up is a judgment, if we're looking at the worldview, of existing structures. So judging the structure of our political system, judging the powers that be, and seeing, are they abusing their power? Are they doing right with the responsibility and the tests and the opportunities that they've been given, or are they blowing it away? So it's really looking at the situation from a very objective point of view and with a discerning and critical eye. So if you have any Virgo qualities, it's kind of this bringing the Virgo into the Pisces. And so it's also going to come up possibly in our relationships. You might feel judgment from others in your life. Maybe people are judging the way that you are handling these certain tests from life. Are you stepping up to the plate? And maybe someone in your life might tell you how your behavior is missing the mark, or they might put you in your place. They might offer some advice or criticism that helps you see yourself more clearly. But it could also be this trigger that makes you feel like you can't trust them, that makes you feel like you want to pull away, or like they're invading your privacy and just being too influential in your life and your personal decision making. So how you react to that will largely depend on your personality, but keeping this in mind can be helpful because this 12 degrees in Pisces is here to support us to up level. But we cannot up level without some form of judgment in terms of seeing where we can truly do better, perform better. And sometimes we are our own judgment and we don't need the outside world. We don't need other people to say or do anything to help us see that clearly. But sometimes we do need people to check us. And that's actually sometimes what betters our performance and helps us better show up in our lives, because sometimes we can not see that as clearly or even make excuses for some of the things that we do. And so I think in a lot of ways, I wrote down that a lot of us are going to have new relationships at this new moon in Pisces. And that just came in really strongly, was new relationships. But I do think for some people, it's more so about having a new spiritual or emotional beginning within existing relationships. And of course, some people will have brand new people come in, but I think a lot of us will have a renewal of some sense, like having some kind of conflict, some kind of judgment, and then discerning if you want to continue on with that person or that circumstance or not. And then ultimately coming to a renewed commitment to whatever that was with new eyes, maybe lowering your expectations, also lowering maybe a little bit of the level of commitment in some sense. Not that you're less committed to that person or that circumstance, like that you don't want to show up, but just I guess what I'm saying is that in whatever that compromise is, you're not going to get maybe everything you've wanted. So less committed in that sense. I hope that makes sense, because this is how I'm seeing this all unfold. I feel like there's a very large story kind of going on, but I think it can drip into our personal lives as well. The beautiful part of this is that the moon is conjunct Jupiter. So it's funny, I pulled a card for this and it was like, make love, not war, 2 of Cups, because I got these cool new cards. I forget what these are called. The Trippy Weight Tarot, something like that. Groovy Weight Tarot. But yeah. Oh, it's this card. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah. So basically these cards I thought were just so telling of what was going on right now, because we are transitioning into this phase where war is a potential, or looks like it could be on the horizon, but I really don't think so with this moon conjunct Jupiter. I think it's ultimately saying that we're going to come to some kind of consensus and have the higher potential come in, the higher viewpoint of what we want, what we're trying to go after, and a little bit more of this willingness to put our ego aside. And I don't think that everyone is going to be willing to do that. That's why I think there are going to be potential circumstances of things like falling away that actually we're building up the tension. And then it's like, oh, actually that thing wasn't supposed to be here. So bye. But usually when I see a new moon, it's the start of something. It's a refresh. So the start could be a new start for you emotionally, spiritually, intuitively, because now you have chosen yourself and you have left something behind that was building up for a long time, long overdue. Or it could be that new things are coming your way in the sense of what you already have existing. Like you're having a refreshed palette in your relationships in these dynamics. And so it's largely going to be up to your personal life circumstances, but Jupiter is giving us the potential to reach higher, to grow more, to see those higher potentials, the higher reasoning, the higher mind behind everything going on. So the second we get that eagle eye view, it's a lot easier to come together because we know ultimately our deep core needs and what we're striving after. And if we can get them met somehow in whatever circumstance or relationship we're looking at. This moon is also making an exact sextile to Uranus. So this is a really big deal. I think whenever I see Uranus here, I like that it's in contact with the moon and not a sextile with Mars and Pluto, because that to me would be adding more volatility into the anger part of the equation, but it's actually adding in a level of change and freedom into the part of the equation that is represented by peace and by harmony and cooperation. So what I feel like is going to happen with this is that it's going to ultimately allow us to stop the fight. It's like freedom from destruction, freedom from war, freedom from this baggage, freedom from this thing from the past. Stop fighting whatever has been going on in our lives that has been long overdue to stop fighting for or with. And so I pulled the Five of Swords of this reversed. And so this means that when I was looking at the definition, it was talking about having enough energy because you stopped fighting. So now you have enough energy to actually work on something constructive in your life. And you can finally let go of these long-standing old conflicts. So this Uranus, the planet of electricity, is giving us the potential to free up a lot of this electric energy, the energy within us that has the potential to make radical life changes, to feel super free and authentic to our nature. And I feel like the exact sextile is saying that if we choose some level of peace, whatever situation, ending it, transforming it, whatever situation is going to lead us to more internal peace is what is being recommended with the sextile with Uranus, because that is what will set us free. Then we'll have that energy to put back into our lives, to put back into rebuilding, because as a society, we are all obviously all rebuilding right now. We're all creating our new reality right now, and we don't have the energetic capacity to keep up with this old bullshit in all areas on the mundane level and the personal level. Sorry. I also speak Spanish, and I don't know. I was getting them confused. The other thing I wanted to talk about that's also an equally big deal. So 3 really big things, or actually 4. Moon with Jupiter sextiling Uranus. Venus, Mars conjunct Pluto. So I guess 3. Then Mercury and Saturn. So really big, like 3 different elements going on that all are contributing to our current state of just a lot of freaking energy, a lot of energy. So Mercury conjunct Saturn, what does that experience feel like? First of all, negative thinking, very typical. Difficulty in communication. So that's why I said I feel like if we're reaching some sort of compromise, trying to find peace, I do think it's this weird, like dissatisfying kind of peace, where it checks enough boxes to be okay. It's like the 80%, like you got a B minus, so you pass, but it's like you don't really fully feel satisfied. You don't really know everything you're talking about. So that's what I'm getting with this Mercury conjunct Saturn, a slightly dissatisfying harmony. But ultimately, the satisfaction comes from finally having more energy to direct to the things that matter rather than this old solution. And so you could have difficult conversations, difficult decisions to make, again, struggles in communication, especially related to coldness or strictness of speech. So be really careful not to say things that you don't mean at this time. Be careful to tune into the compassion for the other person, but also hold boundaries within yourself, because you could say things that are just unnecessarily hurtful and cause greater rifts when trying to reach some sort of productive conclusion. There is a necessity with Mercury conjunct Saturn to think long term. Think about the long-term consequences of what you're doing right now. And with Mars conjunct Pluto, there is this trigger-happy compulsion element, impulsive element that we need to rein in. And Mercury conjunct Saturn, I think, is going to give us that opportunity and that self-discipline and self-control to do so that we know exactly why we are ending things, exactly why we're resolving things in the way that we are, because it's going to help us get towards this more important long-term goal. So again, thinking about that, it's Mercury conjunct Saturn is also giving us more self-discipline and practicality and realism to look at the situation and make those compromises, understanding that perfection is not here at our doorstep, and that's okay. And we can work out the kinks as we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. Life isn't perfect. Two people are never going to 100% agree. People are never going to fully satisfy your needs. That is how life goes. And so I think this new moon is an opportunity for us to embrace that level of realism and hopefully not get too depressed by it, because sometimes we can embrace realism and spin off into negativity and depression. And really what we need to do right now is focus our mind on the long-term goals so that we don't get distracted by the current state of things and taken off our path, because we are having this conjunction to help us act in constructive ways. And you don't want to use this conjunction as furthering self-destruction in your life because of your inability to keep your mind focused on the future. And not so focused on the dissatisfaction of the present moment or the negativity of the present moment. So a lot about prioritizing what is important. Really asking yourself, what hill do I want to die on? Because this is a time in which we have the potential for peace and growth, but again, not going to be as fulfilling as I think a lot of us want it to be. Not going to be that 100% perfect green grass, right? Like, I think that we're going to have to prioritize what truly, truly, truly matters. And that will help us make the right decisions, the responsible decisions, and keep in our life or change the things in our life the way that they need to be. I think also there might need to be some level of flexibility in order to find balance. And that's why I was saying, I think we might have to each give a little bit. It might feel, again, the word I keep using is it might feel a little bit unsatisfying to have an 80% solution. But you know what? Sometimes life is like that, but it creates that balance and that harmony that we need to ultimately move forward to achieve greater results long term. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. This feels like, again, a very, very powerful new moon. I think it's going to be hopefully a good one that helps us move past the conflict and chaos that has been long building, release this tension, and help us build this new future. And so if you guys want an astrology reading or you want to learn astrology, I have a membership that's really cheap, but you can do that. Or I have, of course, my one-on-one readings. You can check that out in the description box below. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into what this looks like for each of the rising signs. All right, so let's go ahead and get started off with Aries Rising. So you guys are going through this massive revolutionary energy within your career with Venus, Mars, and Pluto all conjunct in your 10th house. So I definitely feel like there can be some building tension in your career. That's the term that I've been using for essentially what this means for us, right? The Pluto and Mars coming together is a typically explosive, warlike energy. And so I definitely want to see what is it about this that is needing to be released? What tension needs to be released within your career that has been waiting in the wings, that has been irritating you for a while and long overdue? So I just pulled the Magician reverse, the Two of Wands in reverse, the King of Cups, and then the Queen of Pentacles. So I feel like with the King of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles, really strong outcomes here. Definitely feel like there's a strong emotional satisfaction that's ultimately going to come out of whatever situation this is. But let's keep going. Let's pull more cards. And I want to talk also about where this moon is taking place. This moon is in Pisces in your 12th house, and it's conjunct Jupiter. So it's a new moon, which means typically new beginnings, but it also means that the sky is dark. So there is some element of something unseen, especially being in the 12th house, of the secrets or the hidden. I definitely think that whatever is happening right now might be largely either misunderstood, not fully seen, or not fully known until later. That's typically what happens in the 12th house. Is it's where things get buried, it's where things end, it's where things die, and then they transform into something new when they reemerge in the first house. So I feel like with you guys going through this metamorphosis right now with the sun and moon and Jupiter on the 12th, there is some higher learning, some higher spiritual transformation or transcendence happening underneath the surface that will, I think, become much more apparent next month as the sun finally moves into your first house. And so I think that this is a really interesting time of kind of like the cocoon, that chrysalis period where you are dissolving, you are becoming, but you haven't yet emerged. And so I think that that could be really obvious for you guys. And as right before I said that, I pulled the transformation card, which has these beautiful butterflies and like this person transforming into a butterfly. So I actually want to look up what this one says, and then we'll kind of get into the rest. Transformation. You are in the midst of a profound transformation. You are on a rapid path of growth and change, and you have been for some time. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of this has been really long overdue. So whatever transformation is happening, it's, I think, some internal transformation, but ultimately I think you're going to see the biggest outward changes come through in your career with this conjunction with Pluto all happening in your 10th house. So I think that you'll probably start to notice that. You'll maybe notice the career shifts now, but definitely next month, you'll start to see how those inner changes are reflecting out into the world around you. The inner work you have completed is about to pay off. You've acquired so much knowledge and experience and are now ready to let go of an old aspect of yourself and rebirth into a new you. Do not be afraid, embrace this transformation and rejoice in it. That's exactly what I was saying. So I feel like that's exactly what's going on. The beautiful thing as well is that this moon is making a sextile to Uranus in your second. So this could affect your confidence, your sense of self, your skill sets, the way that you make money, the way that you want to show up in the world and own your gifts. And so that is ultimately like this inner transformation that's happening is going to help you step up into more of who you are and who you're meant to be. And I think that's going to come out into your career. And again, I pulled this Sun Spirit card, and this is all about career. The Sun in astrology is our life purpose and our life path and how we express our identity. And so I think that this is going to be a major change that, again, impacts your career, but also all levels of your identity, maybe even the extent of affecting how you dress physically, how you show up to your life, how you express yourself. This can be all pervasive. It doesn't just have to be in your career, although career, confidence, money making, skills, all of those ways, or your life objectives, even the way that you perceive your goals, that way that you understand your life path, all of those things have the potential to undergo some type of metamorphosis at this new moon. You guys also have Saturn conjunct Mercury in your 11th house. So this is, again, the 11th house is your social house. You guys have had that ongoing transformation with Saturn there, a little bit more, asking you to put a little bit more work into your element of connecting, community, understanding other people, and even how you view your long-term goals. And now with Saturn and Mercury here, I could see you guys sort of planning for the future, but it's interesting because these are upside down. And so I feel like you guys with this Two of Wands and this Magician card, these are both planning for the future about what you want to manifest. But being reversed, you guys might have some struggle with this or some trepidation with this. It might take you like longer than it normally does. You might feel like there's a little bit of uncertainty. That can come in with Saturn and Mercury. While it makes us very disciplined and very much able to plan long-term, able to be logical, practical, reasonable, it's actually a great alignment to help with these really solid structures of our lives, it's also a possibility to have quite a bit of negativity and self-doubt in that process. The other side of that coin can represent that. So I feel like this is coming out reversed to show the potential here of having things work out long-term for you to start planning different things for your future about what you want to manifest for yourself, but that you might encounter some blockages in terms of self-confidence and clarity, and yeah, just maybe some fear a little bit about it as well. So that might be a potential, but ultimately I feel like with this moon conjunct Jupiter in your 12th, there's a lot of spiritual support right now. So there's a lot of support for things that still don't seem clear. So even if you're like, I want to make these really big changes, I have these energies coming through, I have kind of a plan about maybe what I want to do later down the line, long term, maybe these aren't changes you even want to make anytime soon. Maybe these are long-term changes you want to make. But it's like you might not be totally certain. You might just be either unclear or doubtful. And so I think the moon being in the 12th is giving you that support again for the things that are not totally visible. It's kind of like if you imagine somebody like making a leap across this wide gap, and then there's an invisible angel that grabs them and holds them and flies them over to the other side once they've jumped off and made that leap. It's like you can't see that angel. You don't see who's helping you, but the support is there for the self-doubt, for the leap of faith, for all those things that you're about to go on. So the King of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, to me is a huge indicator that you guys are going to, whatever you are planning long term, you are going to have much more emotional fulfillment in whatever it is. It also might involve a different degree of emotional mastery that you're still working on, as well as financial independence being some type of outcome. So I feel like your emotional mastery is linked to financial independence. And so you might find with Pluto moving through your 10th house, with this being activated with the career planet, the money planet Venus, as well as relationship planet, you might find with Mars there, the planet of irritation, that you find yourself a little bit shorter with people. You are frustrated with certain situations and you want to be impulsive and say something about what you think about a scenario. And I feel like ultimately what this is saying is that long-term, you will reach your goals as you develop more and more emotional intelligence and emotional self-control. Not in a way that you're not feeling your emotions, but that you're not reacting impulsively to some triggers that can come up in the workplace. Because that is a very big potential with Mars and Pluto here. People saying stuff that pisses you off, things happening that doesn't align with your long-term goals. There can just be irritants in the general direction and objectives of your life. And so it's hardening you in a way. It's helping you become really mature through your mind, through your heart, in order to handle these situations so that you can become the Queen of Pentacles and be this badass who takes care of their own ish and has a lot of things on their plate, has a lot of responsibilities, but they can take care of that because they have learned how to master all these different troubling situations in their career because of things like this that's happening now. So ultimately, that's what I'm seeing. You're meant to plan long term for something that's going to help you feel really aligned with your own passions and desires. I also think that you might encounter troubling situations through the workplace or through people that kind of feel like they're standing in the way of your ultimate objectives in life right now. But it's all to help build up emotional resilience so that you can become much more financially independent. And I think that you'll start to see that with this new moon is some potential freedom coming in the area of finances for you guys. So that is what I'm seeing for Aries Rising. If this resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want to support my work, you can always join the North Node Society to learn astrology, or you can purchase an astrology reading from me in the description box below. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Taurus Rising. So for you guys, we're going to start off by talking about Pluto and Mars and Venus conjunct before we get into the moon, because this is some of the biggest energy and it's where we're going to experience some level of emotional buildup that needs to be released, some level of tension that wants to explode, that wants to transform, that wants to transcend or to change. For you guys, this conjunction of these 3 planets is happening in your 9th house of your core belief systems, your sense of optimism, your international travel and paperwork related to that, your university studies if you're at school. So, also, whenever I see the 9th house, it's so highly associated with this element of faith or hope and belief about yourself and about your future. So that's where you're all undergoing some level of change right now. And as I say that, I pulled the Fool card, the Queen of Wands in reverse, the Three of Swords in reverse, and the King of Pentacles upright. So you guys are also having this Sun conjunct Moon, aka new moon in Pisces, in your 11th house, and it's conjunct Jupiter. So really, really beautiful time in terms of relationships and finding some kind of connections to help you long term, especially when I see Jupiter there and this Pluto, Mars, and Venus in the 9th house. Both of these are highly associated with the mentor or teacher or some like prophet, some kind of like relationship with someone that you are learning from them, you are studying from them. So there might be some kind of transformation of that relationship or someone new entering into your life that has that potential to teach you things about yourself and about your path that will be extremely beneficial. It's also possible to have, I was going to say it's also possible to just have a lot of relationships and love and support come in right now to help you become much more hopeful and full of faith about your own potential, about your own life and opportunities. And as I said that, I pulled the 7th house partners. So this might even be related to people who you feel extremely close with. You might have the potential to make relationships now, new relationships come in that have the potential to grow into something that are that do become really, really close people, or that do become even romantic partners at some point. So those are all potentials right now for you guys. Definitely just a lot of uplifting types of energies, because I feel like you guys maybe have had maybe some difficulties with certain relationships. With the 3 of Swords coming out here, I feel like this is you in reverse. This is you leaving behind the heartbreak finally. So you guys might, as a Taurus rising, have had some element of relationships that have been slightly difficult, and you guys have the North Node in your 1st house, which means the South Node is in your 7th house, which means that you're having eclipses with the South Node in the 7th house with Scorpio. What does that mean? It means that you are leaving behind a lot of old dynamics in relationships, a lot of toxicity in relationships, these people who haven't really supported you, these people who have broken your heart in some capacity, the people who have disappointed you in some capacity, the ones that, especially with Scorpio, that haven't felt trustworthy, the people who have broken your trust. And right now, the fact that I pulled the receptivity card next to the 7th house of partners, I think what you're ultimately starting to do is find partners or friends or community that actually receives you equally, that actually gives to you as much as you give to them. So there's a receptivity there. And let me read that card. Take the time to still your mind and find your silence within. Dedicating even just a few minutes a day to quiet contemplation will help you become more receptive to the spirit of light that allows you to see clearly and find peace and harmony within the universe. Okay, that's not really what I was saying, but I think that this is essentially saying that there is more receptivity between you and others. You are finding more balance, more equilibrium in your relationships, and it's coming because you're releasing a lot of these kind of toxic people in your life. And I think that's a more ongoing cycle of all of 2022. I don't really think that it's super specific to this moon. I will say though, I think what you're releasing at this moon is not maybe those people necessarily yet. I mean, I think what you're releasing more is like the beliefs, the ideology, the fears, whatever that is that comes up around relationships, around these connections. And that's why I think this is in reverse. And that's why I think Pluto is conjunct Mars and Venus in your ninth house. It's a reevaluation about what you deserve, what you've tolerated, all these different aspects of yourself. And so I feel like it's this brand new beginning emotionally, with more optimism, with more hope, with more trust about the people coming into your life being here long term and supporting you. You guys also have this new moon in the 11th sextiling Uranus in the 1st. So again, I feel like it's that same Fool energy. It's like this brand new start, this brand new opportunity, this freeing moment in your life where you're kind of removing the shackles or the baggage of things related to these old people or these old circumstances that have left you feeling more doubtful about what you're worth or what you're capable of or anything in your life. And so I feel like there's this energy of liberation that's coming through by leaving behind these beliefs around relationships and connections and dynamics. You guys also have Saturn conjunct Mercury in your 10th house. So I do think that some of you guys, while you are really building lasting success in your career with this King of Pentacles and with that placement, even though you're building lasting success with this King of Pentacles, I do think that with the Queen of Wands in reverse, it can come a little bit right now with this placement at the cost of self-confidence, because Saturn and Mercury give us a lot of discipline and diligence in our mind. They help us plan long-term. They help us be really practical and see things super clearly. So I think that with the King of Pentacles is giving you this really masculine, this really kind of masculine mindset. So it's reminding me of the Emperor, holding boundaries, knowing your schedule, knowing your worth, knowing what to charge, how to navigate a situation, planning long-term, navigating all these things correctly in your career to make money, to make things last, to think long-term. However, Saturn also introduces into the mind next to Mercury an element of self-doubt, an element of worry, anxiety, fear. There's always, wherever Saturn is in our chart, we think we're not good enough. And I have Saturn in the 6th. I feel like I'm never doing enough in my workday. It's so irritating. Anyway, that's not about me. The Queen of Wands in reverse to me is telling me you guys might feel like you guys might actually be moving ahead, but feel like you're not as confident, or maybe you might feel like you're not doing enough or achieving enough. There is a little bit of that like self-critical voice coming in here. So be mindful of that at this time. Have compassion with yourself. The Sun and Moon are in Pisces. It's going to help us with that compassion and self-understanding. But I think a lot of that is actually coming from other people around you and their support for you. More than even from yourself. So definitely lean on the people in your life right now. Really be open and receptive to these beautiful new relationships entering. Don't tell yourself I have enough friends, I'm busy, blah, blah, blah. Like whatever excuses you have, if you do have any, I'm calling you out, because there is some beautiful connections coming in here for you that have this long-term potential, that have a lot of support and equal love to give you. So open your heart up to them. But you know, if you've had your heart broken or betrayed in the past, it's about using discernment in that process of who to open up to. Because I think the people coming in now are really beautiful. And then maybe there's some beliefs and elements around old relationships from the past that actually have to be released in order to open up your heart and make space for them. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Taurus Rising. If this resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want to support my work, then you can join the North Node Society and learn astrology with me, which is in the description box below. Or you can grab an astrology reading with me, which is super fun. We'll talk one-on-one, answer all of your questions, look at your life path. And I'm also offering synastry readings now if you want to look at your relationships. So definitely check that out. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful fellow Geminis, specifically Gemini Risings, but obviously the suns can watch these too. So you guys, we're going to start off with Pluto and Mars and Venus all conjunct the sky before we get into this moon, because that is some of the strongest energy we're going to be feeling. And you guys have this in your 8th house. So very transformative energy. I've been telling everyone so far that whenever I see Pluto and Mars, there is an element of something bursting through us that is long awaited, that is long needed, some tension finally releasing. And especially with Venus there, bringing us greater harmony in the end through this release. And for you guys, this is even more potent, being in your 8th house of transformation, of death and release. And it's so crazy. It's almost like every time there's something coming up in the 8th house, I pull the moon card. That's one of your cards. You got the moon and judgment in reverse. And then the Knight of Swords upright. And then you also got the card Here and Now. So let's have a look at this. Specifically, this Here and Now card. We're going to read what that says in the Angel Oracle deck. And then I just pulled Yod Destiny. So whatever is happening right now for you guys, is this really fated or destined moment in your life? All right, here and now, you spend a lot of time dwelling on events in your past and worrying about how the future may unfold. This card serves as a reminder that the only moment that counts is now. So return your focus to the present moment and be mindful of letting your thoughts drift away into the past or into the future. Be conscious of your thoughts as they create your reality in every now moment. Okay, the 8th house is the house of worry and anxiety. And so I will say that having the 8th house being so activated by Pluto and Mars is extremely agitating emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically. And it does always tend to bring up past, especially past traumas, past insecurities. I personally am seeing this in my relationships. Like all these insecurities from my past relationships have come up. And my partner said something really chill, really off the cuff. It didn't have really any significance for anyone else. But what he said, I took that a certain way. And it was because of all of my past relationships making me feel a certain way. So it's like these past relationships said certain things that made me feel like I couldn't be who I was, and they didn't accept me for who I was. And then one little comment that was misperceived, I had all that pain behind it, and I reacted from that place. And so I see this a lot with this energy here, Pluto, Mars, and Venus in the 8th, is this triggering of past events, worrying about them, insecurities from them, pain from them, fear from them, all surfacing into the present moment, into the now. And it's a lot about releasing them so they don't follow us into the now, because now is actually different. This relationship with this person now is actually different. And so it's not fair to this person to bring that energy forward. And it's not fair for you to bring the past into the present and have that toxicity, that poison seep into the waters of the present moment and kill everything that's trying to grow and prosper and be beautiful. And so there is a breaking point happening right now with this Yod Destiny card. Yods to me are trigger moments in our lives where a bunch of things feel like they're going wrong, or a bunch of weird, unforeseen circumstances happen at the same time. It's like a bunch of things just blow off in one moment. And so that is really what I'm seeing here with these planets, is this ability to have this kind of breakdown and breakthrough from all these past things kind of accumulating, going off all at once and triggering us in the present moment. And so I definitely feel like there is some element of seeing things a little bit more clearly. I think that's why I have the moon card in reverse, because the moon card upright is all about the invisible, the unforeseen shadow sides of ourself wreaking havoc. And I feel like with Pluto here, with Mars here, with Venus here, it's like, I hate to bring up this analogy, but Pluto is the nuclear. It's associated with nuclear. It's like blowing things up and bringing things from underground into the surface. And so I feel like we could have a lot of these things become very clear to us or emerge to the surface for us to see, for us to understand. And then we have the Judgment in reverse, which I kind of want to look up some keywords for before I move on. So let me just do that really quick. Okay, so I'm just going to read this element or this description here from Biddy Tarot, where it says, Judgment reverse calls for a period of reflection and self-evaluation. Through meditation or quiet contemplation, you may arrive at a deep understanding of the universal themes weaving throughout your life and what you can do or change to avoid these situations. You may keep them secret or hidden because you fear how others may judge you. To clear these past mistakes and regrets and any associated guilt or shame, work on your self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, self-love, and release and freedom. So I feel like essentially what's going on here is that all this stuff from the past is coming up, not only related to what other people have done to you, but also how you have done things to you or to others that have made you disappointed in yourself, that have made you disappointed in others, fearful of yourself, fearful of others, all of those elements of negative emotions coming to the surface that have been hidden, that have been suppressed or ignored or not acknowledged in some kind of way. And I think it's coming up so that we can finally release them. And I think that's what that Judgment card is trying to explain to us, is this element of releasing, bearing witness to these feelings and not allowing them to bring us shame or control us anymore. If someone has made you feel insecure, not hiding that from your partner or from a friend or from whoever, airing that out so that it actually loses its power and loses its steam in your life. You guys also have the sun and the moon conjunct in Pisces. So this is a new moon, and it's also conjunct Jupiter as well. And it's in your 10th house of career. So you guys have a lot of potential right now to make some really big advancements in your career. And this could honestly come from a lot of like compassion and support from the public. So if you are being honest about things that you're experiencing, I feel like people can come and kind of lend you a hand. I just pulled the 10 of Cups in reverse. So if you're showing people the kind of struggles that you've gone through, if you're being transparent, I feel like you're going to get some more support in this type of situation. I also think, given that this moon is making a sextile to Uranus, you have the potential to help yourself by releasing a lot of the self-limitations, a lot of the self-doubt, the self-sabotage. And I think that will almost inherently happen as you examine things in the 8th house, as you examine these matters that you've kept hidden, that have brought up negative emotions within you. I think you will then stop some of those patterns that have been self-limiting. And I think just bringing it all to the light will give you a little bit more of that sense of freedom and empowerment. And it's through that you'll feel like you finally have wings now to fly in your career. And it might take time to unfold, but I think that there's a lot of potential. I will say though, with the Knight of Swords, it might go quicker than we think, actually. I know I said it might take time to unfold, but the Knight of Swords is one of the fastest cards in the deck. And you can see he's just like running straight for the hills or wherever he's going. I don't know if my camera's focusing on any of these. So I feel like on one hand, this card is about communicating and sharing with others, being vulnerable with others about some of these shadow elements, these hidden elements, those fears, negative emotions, but then also about quickness or swiftness happening in your career as you begin to lighten your load. You also have Saturn conjunct Mercury in the 9th house. So it might be hard at this time to really feel like things are going to change, to really feel like if I say something about it, it's going to be different, or the past isn't going to repeat itself. It might be Saturn in the 9th is, if you have this natally, classic for cynicism or believing that the world or the government is out to get you, which I don't doubt that it is. It isn't. That it is. That it isn't. Anyway, regardless, I think that can be really prominent during this time. Is this a level of cynicism is a potential here of, again, feeling that the past could repeat itself, or maybe having fear around being hopeful for what could arise. If you're feeling like things could start improving in your life in whatever area you felt like you were struggling, Saturn and Mercury in the 9th can make you feel like, well, even though I do see things starting to change, can I really trust that? Is that really going to be here long term? Is this really legit? You know, it's like I don't want to get my hopes up because I don't want to be disappointed. And that's okay. That's honestly okay with this, especially with this placement. I think that's honestly one of the best things that we can hope for, is to just keep going and be practical. Like, we don't have to be extremely freaking optimistic all the time. not to be negative, but we don't have to set super high expectations. All we can do right now with this placement is just put one foot in front of the other on our path towards a long-term plan. And Saturn and Mercury in the ninth is asking you to make that long-term plan, to set that vision, work towards it in a realistic, practical, steadfast way, not skipping steps, honoring your integrity, honoring your morals, always making sure that you are aligning with the highest vision, that that's something that actually you could see yourself wanting and doing well into the future, that it has legs, that has longevity, that is connected to your higher purpose and not just something to meet your needs in the short term. But there is an element of realism and practicality that is here as well. So, I mean, maybe there are certain things that you have to more so like be okay with. Not that you're not meant to be optimistic, or not that you should be pessimistic and just settle, but there might have to be some things that you have to make certain sacrifices for, or just in order to kind of understand what you need to do to make things work long term is kind of what I'm saying. So I hope that makes sense, Gemini. If this resonates, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. And if you want to support my work, then feel free to join me to learn astrology in the North Node Society, or you can check out an astrology reading from me in the description box below. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Cancer risings. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your ninth house. But before we jump into that, I actually wanted to discuss the even bigger event happening in astrology right now, which is Mars conjunct Pluto, conjunct Venus, all in your seventh house in Capricorn. So big, big energy. If you did not watch the beginning, definitely recommend to go back and do so now. Very, very profound messages for personal life as well as mundane life or world life. Okay, so having this in your seventh house is really big energy, you guys. I'm curious how this is going to feel for you. I just pulled the Four of Swords, Seven of Swords, and then the Devil. So definitely a lot of like worry right now. Actually, I don't know. I mean, whenever I see swords, I'm like, there's a lot of mental activity going on. Okay, yeah. You guys have Saturn conjunct Mercury in your eighth house. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, definitely whenever I see Saturn and Mercury in the eighth house is tons of fear that come up, tons of anxiety. And I think that this could be related to relationships with Pluto, Mars, and Venus in the seventh. You might be distrustful right now of relationships. You might... Yeah, I feel like you guys are having this kind of reset trying to come through your relationships, but it's like first you have to tackle all these fears and all these insecurities and all of these like past issues in relationships before you can have this reset or this new beginning. And what's interesting is that this Devil card has these two people tied up together and the devil is behind it, like in a trance. And so I kind of feel like you guys have been maybe tied to the wrong people in the past. And maybe some of you are scared about that happening again. Or if you are in a current relationship, maybe you feel like you are kind of bound to them in this toxic kind of way that's actually not feeling good, that's coming from a place of wounding. And I think that you guys are having to address that wounding with Saturn conjunct Mercury. You are having the spotlight shown really bright and clear on that wounding that attaches you to these people who don't actually aren't good for you. You know, they aren't actually like lifting you up. They're repeating these past cycles, these past patterns. Maybe they don't actually show that much interest in you. Like maybe they don't actually support you in the way that you need. Maybe they are judgmental. Like whatever it is about these people, they are coming into your life and there's some weird like sticky gooiness to them that you're like sticking to them. But ultimately they have also this like toxic, negative, judgmental, critical, whatever it is about them that is like secretly poisoning you at the same time. And that's why I think we have the Seven of Swords is there's like this a lot of elements of like sneakiness as well. Like how, I don't know. It's like, I think that a lot of the sneakiness or shadiness of people could be coming to light, or maybe the side of you that's like self-sabotaging without realizing could come to light. It's like a lot of the like running through the shadows, you know, like going to that person's house in the middle of the night and just ignoring your intuition. And, you know, I don't know, these are just visuals that are coming up, but it's like this sneaking around kind of energy that's coming to the surface and showing any toxicity that's there, anything that's keeping you attached to people that are really just not in your highest good. And I think that it's coming, these realizations are coming through a lot of rest and self-reflection and time alone with this Four of Swords. It's like this person is having this rainbow melted over them, which is honestly super freaking cool. So yeah, it's like I feel like you guys, if you give yourself space and rest, will have this kind of cleansing through light, through your aura, through, you know, whatever. So I'm going to pull more cards for you guys. So basically, I think I was saying essentially how you guys are going through this massive realization about relationships and where things might be sneaky or unfulfilling, and that type of situation. So I definitely feel like you guys are learning how to navigate relationships in a different way, in a healthier way. And with Saturn and Mercury in the 8th, it's a lot about moving through your own shadows and being really realistic and facing those shadows in order to understand why you've been attracted to people who haven't treated you right. So that's where the massive change is coming from for you. But the sun is conjunct the moon in Jupiter in your 9th house. So definitely feels like this is going to make you guys feel much more optimistic. And with that sextile to Uranus in the 11th, I think it's specifically bringing optimism into your friend group. So you might find that you have a lot more social situations to attend. You guys might find that your friends are... Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got distracted. You guys might find that your friends are just this source of joy in your life and helping you understand this dynamic of relationships, because I just pulled the 7 of Cups and the Knight of Cups. And so I definitely feel like you guys have some very confusing romantic situations going on right now. And the only way I think that you guys are going to get super clear about them is by, first of all, with the Sun and Saturn and Mercury conjunct, being very transparent and honest with people in a very almost like blunt way, having conversations with people that might be challenging about truly what's going on internally, or at least having realizations with yourself. With the new moon in the 9th, though, a lot about the 9th house is about communicating, just like the 3rd house. So I think it's almost going to be through communicating through your friends that you'll have realizations about why you've maybe attracted unavailable partners, or why you have had romantic offerings or any kind of offerings in your life right now that are filled again with this sense of like mystery, or filled with this like romantic idealism. I think that you guys might feel that way, but you also might start realizing where your idealism about friends, about any kind of relationship has actually held you back. And I think that a lot of that is going to be brought to light through your friendship connections that are healthy. I think talking to people is going to help you see like the bigger picture of how you're attracting these people who lie, or these people who are non-committal, or these people in your life who are shady in some respects. Like the 7 of Cups is like the 7 of Swords, is some level of lack of clarity through idolizing the other person and not seeing them clearly. Also some level of self-sabotage. I just pulled the Queen of Cups. So again, I feel like you guys are stepping into a strong emotional strength within yourself, learning how to align more with your morals, your integrity, your desires for what you want to achieve in the future. And I think, again, your friendships are going to be really essential to your progress in this place of your life. I just pulled the card 33 Success for you. So let's go ahead and read what that has to say. Through your hard work and dedication in one aspect of your life, you're about to experience great success. Continue to hold a vision of the outcome you desire and allow yourself to daydream about it all unfolding exactly as you would love. You already have everything it takes to succeed in the situation. You now need to surrender and let it happen. That's beautiful. I mean, I do think that some of you could have really beautiful romantic situations coming to the surface, but it's because you're addressing all of the ways that you have had bad ones in the past, or your self-sabotage in relationships, or your idealism, like whatever it is. I feel like you guys who are having a good relationship come through. I think that you guys are attracting that because of all the work that you've done. But I honestly think a lot of you are more so transforming your beliefs around relationships, and you are ultimately going to achieve success in this area of your life because of this transformation and because of this effort. And then I just pulled 8th house endings and beginnings. That makes a lot of sense with Saturn, Mercury in the 8th. Again, I feel like this is you guys really focusing in on the clarity and the truth of the situation, and getting super in touch with how you truly feel, becoming really emotionally tuned into yourself, so that it's not this weird game. If you've been playing games with anyone in your life, if you've had any level of toxicity, if you've ever been attracted to the wrong person, I feel like all those things are coming up right now for you to really master and sort through those emotions, get super clear with yourself, and make an ending to those cycles so that you can only have positive relationship cycles moving forward. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Cancer Rising. If this resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want to support this channel, then you can feel free to join me to learn astrology in the North Node Society, or you can book an astrology reading in the description box below. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next I have my beautiful Leo rising. So before we jump into this new moon, I want to talk first about Pluto, which is conjunct Mars and Venus in the 6th house of work. So this is a really big energy for you guys. I mean, it's big for everyone right now. And that's why I want to start off with it, because I think it's even more potent than the moon itself. And so I'm pulling some cards for you right now. I just got the 3 of Cups in reverse, the 7 of Swords upright, the 7 of Wands in reverse, and the Knight of Wands in reverse. Okay, interesting. So I wonder if some of you guys have had conflict at work, or these really intense kind of situations happen in your daily life, because Pluto and Mars conjunct bring about a need for release. I'm thinking of like a kettle boiling over or having steam come out of it. It's like something has to release or it's going to explode. And Venus is also there. So there is a higher resolution coming to the situation through that release. There is a harmonizing effect or long-term stability coming from short-term instability. And so I just pulled the Capricorn card. And so definitely I think for a lot of you, this is career related. I also just pulled the card, I am a creator. Let's go ahead and read what that says before we continue on with what's going on in your 6th house. I am creator. We truly are the creators of our own destiny. Whatever you think about and give energy to becomes your reality. So become aware of every thought that crosses your mind and ask yourself, am I happy with this creation? This simple awareness will help you to consciously choose what it is you create for yourself and your life. Okay, so I think with that and the Capricorn energy, really strong emphasis on your participation in everything going on in your life. So if you are frustrated with certain things in your daily routine, certain responsibilities you've taken on, if you are frustrated with certain boundaries that are being crossed, or things that are being given to you at work, or your work relationships with your colleagues, if there's a frustration there, this is your call out to take ownership over your part in that. And that doesn't mean that you are the one who is doing those things. What it means is you might be the one allowing those things, the one not saying no, the one not putting your boundaries up or protecting yourself, or the one who doesn't realize their worth in asking for what they deserve. And I think that was a message for the last Leo rising, if I'm not mistaken. There is a strong sense of you being able to manifest and create your own reality, work hard towards something. But you have to believe you deserve it. You have to believe you're worthy of it. And then you can create it and ask the world or your boss or whoever for what you're looking for. So just really keep that in mind. If there's an intolerable situation in terms of your responsibilities or daily life, daily routine work, or even health, you also have some free will to dictate and to wield your sword of discernment to create what you want in that area of your life. So really, really keep that in mind. And okay, you guys also have, I don't know if I want to start with the cards first, the astrology verse. Okay, let's start with astrology. You guys have this new moon in Pisces happening in your 8th house. And so again, I feel like a lot of the 8th house is a house of power. It's where typically people try to, where it's like the area of life where we see power imbalances start to emerge, and 6th house as well. So the 6th house is really like this level of hierarchy, like I tell you what to do. And the 8th house is I have certain weaknesses in my character or my self-confidence or fears. And because of that, people of power prey on that. And so I feel like with the new moon happening in the 8th house, especially with Jupiter, it's expanding your mind in order to understand ways in which you might give away your power. And I think that's why we have the 7 of Wands in reverse, and even the 3 of Cups in reverse, 7 of Swords upright. A lot of this energy is about other people. And I think that it has to deal with you maybe accepting less than you deserve, or giving your power away in some type of fashion, tolerating things that you don't need to tolerate. Whatever it looks like, there's some element here of you guys like ceding to someone in ways that you shouldn't. And this is what's been building in the background for a while. This is something that's been ongoing. And so this is your time now to break free from that. This is your time now to release that and to take your power back, take your initiative back, and own the fact that you are creating your own reality. Other people telling you what to do, other people in your sphere of influence ultimately don't have a say in the creation of your reality. You have the ultimate say. And so that's going to be super important to remember, is your place in all of this, your agency, because you are the creator of your life. And so I think that there can be this liberation and freedom happening in your career that occurs from you taking back your power, not letting any fears of loss. If you say something like, oh, if I put this boundary down, they're going to walk away, or I'm not confident enough to stick up for myself. Like whatever it is, those things you are overcoming with Jupiter conjoining the sun and moon, because you have the power of Zeus. You have the power of like the Lord of the Zodiac. And this new moon is making a sextile to Uranus in the 10th. Again, liberation in your career, changes, up-leveling, new possibilities, new potentials that weren't even there before, because you actually are taking back that power, asking for what you deserve, setting certain boundaries with yourself, with others, and recognizing your influence on your own life. And you might have to have some difficult conversations with Saturn, Mercury in the 7th. You might have to talk to some people in your life and lay it on in a realistic way. I was going to say lay it on thick. That's not what I mean. It's lay it down in a very realistic and truthful way, without being too cold, without being too aggressive or too harsh, which is a definite possibility with Saturn. You really need to get to the core of the message without making things personal, without, saying things that you don't mean. And then I think that you'll have some amazing outcomes, very constructive outcomes from this, even though the conversation might be uncomfortable. And so that's what I'm seeing here with the 3 of Cups in reverse, is this feeling of coming together, but not necessarily in the way that feels as good or as celebratory. Because I feel like there have been ways that people have, with the 7 of Swords upright, there's ways that people have been influencing your life in a negative way that you have allowed for far too long. With your 7 of Wands in reverse, you have not fought them off. You have not set up your boundaries. You have not asked for what you needed. With a Knight of Wands in reverse, it's coming from some insecurity, some lack of self-confidence, some fear about being left or not loved or not accepted, something. I don't know what exactly that is. It's going to be different for everyone. But something has allowed this to go on for too long. And now it's finally time to put your foot down and stand up for what is right, what is fair, what is just for yourself and your future. And when you do that, again, you will notice that your career shifts by leaps and bounds, and it will suddenly feel free. If some of you have been stuck in some capacity, you will feel like the shackles have finally fallen off, and you have freedom and autonomy and the things that you have wanted for a long time. So this has been building energy. This is long overdue, is what I'm seeing very clearly. So if this resonates, Leo, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. If you want to support this channel, which I highly encourage you to, check out the membership, the North Node Society, to learn astrology, or you can buy an astrology reading from me, which is in the description box below. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful fellow Virgo risings. So for you guys, we're going to be talking first about Pluto before we jump into this moon. And that's because Pluto is conjunct Mars and Venus in your 5th house right now. Really potent energy, even stronger than the moon and the sun coming together right now. And I hope that you listen to the intro because there was a lot of really juicy stuff there for you. So what can we expect by having such an intense amount of energy in the 5th house? Well, first of all, let me explain, if you didn't listen to the intro, that Pluto and Mars coming together is a need for release, is the situation that has been long overdue, building tension within us, within our lives, within a certain scenario. And having Venus there saying that once it does release, it might be kind of this eruption, but Venus is going to smooth over the edges and hopefully help us reach a higher level of peace, a higher level of harmony, or have some beautiful situation emerge from this difficult kind of uprising or release. And so in the 5th house, this is interesting. If you guys have children, okay, if you have children, this could definitely be about your relationship with your children. But for a lot of you with the 5th house, it's a lot has to do with your romantic interests. And as I said that, I pulled the Knight of Cups, or as I was thinking that. And so I think that there's, for a lot of you guys, this will be about your dating life. It's not going to be for everyone because not everyone is dating. Not everyone's interested in that. Someone's already with someone, whatever that is. But there could be yeah, it's going to be about relationships of some sort because the new moon is in your 7th house either way. So I pulled the Knight of Cups, the 3 of Pentacles in reverse, the World in reverse, and the Ace of Wands in reverse. So many reversals. And then I'm going to pull an Angel Oracle card for you. We got Success. Oh, I just pulled that for someone. Let me shuffle this really quick. But you guys can have success if you want. Don't worry. Don't worry. Success in whatever you're looking for. But I didn't fully shuffle these in between the groups yet. So let's do that. We'll randomly place them in the deck. Oh, one fell out. Growing. Beautiful. It's a beautiful rose. And then the last card I want to pull is an astrology card, which you guys have. Taurus, I have. Okay. I love to see growing next to Taurus, I have, because to me, I feel like this is a potential of growth and finances, and as well as self-confidence and just general stability in your life if you've been feeling unstable. So having Pluto and Mars in the 5th house, again, this can bring about a need for some kind of release of something been going wrong in terms of your romantic interests, your creative interests, your creative pursuits. With the 3 of Pentacles in reverse, if you've been working with somebody or collaborating in some type of area or so some type of collaboration happening that hasn't been going well, I feel like there needs to be some kind of shift. And this is that shift right here. I think that you guys with the Knight of Cups are extremely inspired in a lot of ways with this placement, very creative, very maybe idealistic. But with the 3 of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like there's some level of practicality that was missing or something that wasn't followed through upon. If you're working with other woo people, maybe you'll find that some of them are unreliable. There's something going on here where like your ideas and your passions and all those things, when trying to be implemented, aren't working because of other people. And maybe it's like their influence on you. Maybe it's because you're working with them. But there's some level of them being a distraction or taking away or creating like the lack of stability. I think you guys need more stability. You have a lot of this like visionary type of energy, especially with Uranus in the ninth being activated. Like you have a lot of that visionary energy, but with Saturn conjunct Mercury in the sixth, like you need that really practical step-by-step kind of method in order to bring these visions to life. And again, I feel like people somehow could have been a distraction of some type or taken away from that stability. So maybe some of you guys need to set certain boundaries, or schedule yourself in a better way, or find different people to work with, or approach things differently. Make different kinds of connections, because the ones that you have, or the way that you're doing it isn't going to get you there. It's too like wishy-washy. It's too dreamlike rather than really grounded into reality. Yeah, and that's so funny. The world in reverse actually means that. It means that you might be taking shortcuts or delays in this completion of a project. So I feel like there's some practical element missing where you kind of want to go from 0 to 100. You have this really big vision. You're reaching towards it. But really what you need is to grow in consistency and stability and each little thing. And with the Ace of Wands in reverse, you guys might have found that you have been kind of following your passions and your desires, and that's led you nowhere fast. And what I mean by that is that you might have changed your ideas too much, or you might have found that with this Ace of Wands in reverse that you didn't like fully follow through on everything. And so now with it in reverse, you have to turn certain ideas away, or certain opportunities or people away, in order to complete something to its fullest extent. And I think that's what Pluto and Mars and Venus in the fifth house is about. It's maybe not so much about romantic relationships per se, as I was thinking in the beginning. I think it's actually about getting really clear on your long-term desires, and how your short-term impulsiveness is affecting those long-term desires. Some of you, it might be a transformation in your romantic sector as well, though. I'm going to say both of those can exist. Also, I think other people, like your relationships, the people influencing you, are relating to the way that these short-term desires are throwing you off your path and destabilizing you. It's like maybe other people are inviting you out too much, or maybe other people are trying to influence your work schedule too much, and you need to set hard and fast boundaries. And that's why this new moon is in the seventh house of relationships with Jupiter. I think it's giving you the vision and the understanding of how other people in your life are influencing you, and asking you with a gentle hand to speak with them, to also like reorient yourself around them in a new way, so that they don't affect you or influence you in ways that are detracting from your potential and your life. With the sextile with Uranus in the ninth, there is a lot of optimism that can then come from having people on board with you. So if people respect your schedule, if people know what you want when they're working with you, like it depends on how these relationships are interacting in this circumstance, but once you get them on board, like you get them caught up with your mind and where you're at, and have them really clear on how they're affecting you, then it's like they can help you reach your goals. They can actually be this uplifting support. They can be this liberating support, instead of a momentary distraction. Instead of someone offering to come hang out and have dinner, maybe they encourage you to read, to work on that course because you told them how important it was, and they just read next to you. So it's like that level of transforming the relationship, reorienting the relationship around your goals, is going to be really key. With Saturn and Mercury in the sixth, there's a lot of self-discipline here in your daily routines and the way that you schedule yourself and handle your responsibilities. That is asking you to grow, to step up in your level of consistency and stability, and get really clear on what it is you are working towards, so that others and things around you in these short-term elements are not distractions, are not taking away from you, but are adding to your life because they know what you want long-term. Let's look up what growing says here. From a higher perspective, everything that we experience in life, whether we perceive it to be a wonderful blessing or a terrible misfortune or somewhere in between, always serves for our highest growth. As spiritual beings and human bodies on this earth, embrace life experiences without judgment and trust and knowledge that they all serve a purpose. So I don't know. I think that this could also kind of tell you, like, don't get down on yourself. As a Virgo rising, this is always a thing. Like, don't get down on yourself if you have failed to meet certain expectations of yourself or haven't grown to a certain extent and you've given in to certain whims in the moment, or other people have distracted you or whatever it is. Don't beat yourself up, because you are growing and this is how you grow. You have to make mistakes to understand that you need those boundaries, that understand that you're not going to do those mistakes again. But if I was talking to my therapist about this, and she told me, you know, if there's ever something that I say or that I do that brings me shame, that makes me feel guilt or bad, I look at what it is I did or said, and I just tell myself I'm never going to do that again. Instead of harping on that negative emotion and beating yourself up, it's not constructive. So sometimes with Saturn conjunct Mercury in the sixth can produce tons of anxiety and overstimulation of the mind, and really being way too critical on ourselves. And so really be careful about that at this time, because you can only do stuff about it now. Like, don't beat yourself up for the past. You're never going to go back into the past and change things. It's done. What's done is done. Move forward with a lighter heart, because you know you're not going to make those decisions again, and trust yourself. With Uranus, that sextile with Uranus in the ninth, from the sun and moon sextile Uranus in the ninth, I think is asking you to trust yourself. And it's from that place of faith that you will be liberated and that you will reach your highest potential. So if this resonates, Virgo, let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want an astrology reading and you want to support this channel through that way, or through learning astrology, you can check out my links in the description box below. Thanks, guys. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Libra rising. So before we jump into where this new moon is happening in your chart, let's first examine where Pluto is going to be, because Pluto is hanging out with Mars and Venus in your fourth house, and this is going to generate an immense amount of energy. And whenever I see this, I'm thinking that we are releasing things that have built up tension over time. And in the fourth house, to me, this feels like very static energy, because the fourth house is something extremely long standing, tying back with our family, our home, our emotional nature, our foundation. And so our sense of security has largely been tied to the fourth house. And now we are being asked to release something related to that. So let's have a look at what that might be. I just pulled the Hanged Man, the Queen of Wands in reverse, the Three of Swords in reverse, and the Ace of Swords in reverse. And I'm also going to pull an Angel Oracle card for you guys. And you got application. Ooh, interesting. And then I'm going to pull one astrology card, and then we're going to dive right in. I just pulled Leo, I will. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start off by reading the Angel Oracle message, and then we'll get into the rest. So you got application. You've been on a quest for greater understanding and knowledge for some time now. This card is an indication that the time has truly come to apply this acquired knowledge in a practical way to your real life. There will always be more to learn, but for now, focus on walking the walk. Demonstrate to yourself and those who you love what you've learned, and you'll see that you've come even farther than you've ever imagined was possible. All right, so there's definitely a message out there for some of you guys with that card. If you've been experiencing some level of self-doubt, or if you've been really sitting inside your comfort zone, it's time to shake that up. And that actually might have something to do with the fact that the Pluto Mars Venus conjunction is in your fourth house. Like I mentioned, this is a house of security. And so there might be some element here of you guys really sitting back inside your comfort zone. And I think this can build up enough tension to release you from that comfort zone so you can feel like you can go out into the world. And I love that this application card came out first because the new moon, which is conjunct Jupiter, a planet of teaching and also a planet of experiences and showing, is Jupiter is conjunct this new moon. It's in the sixth house, and the sixth house is all about work and doing. So literally the word applying or making things manifest is exactly what this is. And so I feel like you guys are being initiated into the next chapter. If you have been in a state of preparation, of thinking, of delaying, of staying inside the comfort zone, of learning, pondering, this is now your time to take off your backpack and to go out and spread the knowledge that you have spent so much time picking up. So, and this is so funny because a friend of mine is a Libra, and I think she's a Libra Rising actually, and she was studying under someone for a really long time. She's been using that work in her work, but now she recently just got hired from that teacher to go out and do this work herself. And so I think this is a perfect example of this, is really feeling confident that you have everything that you need right now in order to go out and make something happen. But I do feel like many of us are going to be experiencing self-doubt in that process, because I have the Hanged Man next to the reverse Queen of Wands. And the Hanged Man is someone who is living in a state of distress because of the way that he's thinking or the situation that he's in his life. Maybe he's been feeling like things have slowed down, like things are more static. Like I mentioned, the word static came up for you even before I started looking at the astrology. The word static was coming up for you. So you might have felt like the energy around your career or something that you're meant to start applying or taking action on has been more static than usual. And that next to the Queen of Wands in reverse, I think is leading you guys to a lack of confidence in yourself. And with the Three of Swords in reverse, maybe even giving you guys an opportunity to heal some painful things that are related to the self. So painful realizations about the self. I feel like all those things are coming to the surface right now, like the ways in which you have just felt like you could be doing better, further along, have more progress. And I feel like you guys might have a certain amount of self-doubt that makes you feel like you need to be learning more and more and more, when actually this is the phase now where you're supposed to be doing. So if you have had any stagnancy, it's actually not that you need to learn more or not that you're good enough. I think it's just a phase. I think it's just a phase that's meant to create enough quiet for you to see where maybe you can change some things. Maybe it's you're changing something about your approach or changing something about your mindset, but definitely changing your mindset in terms of confidence. I think with the Queen of Wands and the Leo card, you're supposed to really be owning your gifts, owning what you bring to the table. And sometimes this is an act of discipline because you have Mercury conjunct Saturn in the fifth house, which is a house associated with Leo. And the fifth house is all about embracing our unique gifts and bringing them out into the world through application. So, however, it's not just doing it through a willy-nilly way. It's doing it through like really consistent effort, discipline, thoughtfulness, thinking long-term about how we can truly bring out our gifts in the best way possible, in the way to benefit the most people possible. And it's bringing confidence also to that. So we grow confident because we are disciplined in our pursuit of actualizing our gifts and our goals. And so I think that you guys are facing maybe some insecurities right now, because the new moon in the sixth house, while you are going out there and applying things and doing things, it's sextiling Uranus in the 8th house. It's saying that as you do these things, you are liberating yourself from any fears, from any doubts, from any insecurities, and also any debt. So if you've been kind of resting on your laurels or pausing, or if you've been noticing that life has kind of paused for you, or your business has paused, or whatever it is you're working on, now I feel like is a time to start picking up and start doing things. And as you do that, you'll start to face whatever has maybe made that self-doubt come into place, or made you feel less confident in yourself and have less belief in yourself and your ideas and your perception of things, essentially. So I feel like you guys are having this really foundational shift in your sense of self, which is helping you shine your light brighter, go after the things with more tenacity, but also with more discipline. So it's like we're disciplined in the way that we creatively express our desires, our gifts, and everything. And again, I think that's also going to lead to more confidence. It's through that consistent effort that I feel like you guys are going to have those breakthroughs. So that's kind of what I'm seeing for you, Libra. I felt like that was really short, though. I'm sure there's more that I could talk about. Nothing is really popping into my mind in particular. I just think that if I was going to say anything else with Saturn and Mercury, I feel like you guys are being asked to be disciplined in your mindset about short-term gratification. That's always something I think about with this placement, because the 5th house is where we tend to engorge ourselves, overdo things, overindulge. And with Saturn there is this need to be much more disciplined. Again, I know I keep using that word, but I need to be disciplined in our actions, thinking long term. And it's specifically associated with our ideas, though. I feel like there maybe have been a flow of ideas or uncertainty around your ideas. And it's through this dedication that you're going to find that those things become more streamlined. So it's either going to become clearer if you are lacking clarity, or if you have too many of them, it's going to become more streamlined. I feel like there's a need to really hone in on or gain clarity on something. And I think with Saturn and Mercury in the 5th house, you have that potential. Again, if you are being disciplined. I know I keep saying that word. So let me look up one more thing and we'll see if I want to say anything else. I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, the Ace of Swords in reverse can be associated with clouded judgment, but with Saturn conjunct Mercury, I think we are getting very clear on our judgment now and how we want to move forward with things. So definitely consider things long term, like I've been saying. Consider how you can start applying your gifts into the world, and really think about, really think about how the world can best receive you and how you can best express yourself. Because I feel like there is that really nice sweet spot between what you desire and what others need. And I think that's really coming to life right now with this Leo energy. I think it's mixing with the new moon in Pisces of let's be giving to others, but in a way that shines my light, in a way that makes me light up. And so if you guys can just blend those right now, I think it's going to, again, help you gain confidence, clarity, and then hopefully pick things up. Because I think with the Hangman, maybe things have felt really slow, really uncertain, and maybe you need some mindset shifts in order to help them quicken. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Libra Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. If you want to support this channel, then you might want to join the North Node Society to learn astrology with me, or get an astrology reading from me. So you can see both of those opportunities in the description box below. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Scorpio Rising. So we're going to be talking first about your modern ruler, Pluto, because it is doing some crazy stuff in the sky right now that I think is even more potent than this moon in particular, which is Pluto conjunct Mars and Venus all in your 3rd house. So wow, are you guys having a lot going on right now? And I will say that whenever I seeing the Mars-Pluto conjunction, I'm thinking that there's a buildup of tension, as I've been mentioning in all the other signs, that with Venus is going to release and hopefully come to some sort of positive outcome or solution in our life that will ultimately benefit us. For you being in the third house, you guys could have some major insights right now, some major realizations about things that you can do differently, a release of tension through conversations with people, long overdue conversations, things that you've been thinking for a long time. Or just you might have certain mindset shifts that are potential right now, or even movement and change in your life that you've been needing for a really long time. Because the third house, to me, is very much linked with that movement and change. So we're going to pull some cards right now and look at the rest, particularly of this, the rest of the astrology, particularly with this moon, and then we'll go from there. So what do we have for my Scorpio risings? We have the High Priestess. I'm going to put that upright. The Fool. Definitely a new beginning for you guys when I see the Fool. And I think it's a new beginning for all of us if we choose to take it. And refreshing the old. Oh, that's a lot. Okay, let's see. The Six of Wands, the Five of Pentacles in reverse, the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, the Lovers in reverse, the Four of Pentacles in reverse, or the Four Pentacles upright, and Temperance. My goodness. I feel like Scorpio risings always have the strongest message for me, and I don't know why. I pulled the card, the Truth. I'm going to read that first before we jump into the rest of astrology. And then I have one more card that I want from you guys, which is Sagittarius, I see. Okay, Sagittarius is also associated with truth. So there's a really strong truth element here. Like I said, Pluto is your modern ruler. So maybe there is some element, like I said, of realizations coming through and the truth coming through behind the matter. You could have been lying to yourself or not seeing something clearly, or just something was hidden and now it's being lit up and the truth is, the truth is coming out. So let's go ahead and look at that. In the book, it says, you may find yourself facing a situation in which it is difficult to determine the real truth of the matter and the best way forward. Instead of relying on your rational mind to work it out logically, try going within. Sit quietly in meditation, even if it's only a few minutes a day, and you'll see the answer to the puzzle revealed, perhaps when you least expect it. Honestly, I don't really agree with that message. I think that the truth is coming to you through this transit. You might, of course, need some meditation and some time alone in order to see that clearly, but I think you know the truth, and that's why the High Priestess was the first card to pop out, because you guys already are extremely intuitive as a Scorpio, as a water sign, with Pluto as your modern ruler. You see the clarity or the truth behind all. And so I think you could have been maybe lying to yourself or not wanting to fully see something for the truth. And so now I think it's becoming inevitable. I think you are absolutely realizing it, and it's just, again, unavoidable in some facet. So I'm curious what that truth is going to be about for you guys. It could have something to do with what else is going on in the sky. We currently have a new moon in Pisces, which is your 5th house. It is conjunct Jupiter. So one of the most creative kind of times for you guys in order to get a lot of new business contacts if you're in that industry, or a lot of new social contacts, a potential to have some really beautiful creative ideas come to you if that's something that you're interested in, an improvement in your relationship with your children, a new kind of dating reality for yourself, like new emotional relationships as well. And also the 5th house with Jupiter, I feel like could really be about you guys having these beautiful creative ideas that you want to bring out into the world, to grow, to expand. And this new moon is making an exact sextile with Uranus in your 7th. So there might be some realizations and truths about other people or your relationships with people in your life that then allow you to unlock some of these next creative directions. Or you can have some new beginnings in this creative sphere, in this 5th house matter, all this 5th house matters I just mentioned. And having that sextile to Uranus in the 7th can mean that you have new people coming into your life that align with that vision, that align with that energy, and can help you produce it out in the world. And that's definitely something that I feel like I'm seeing with this 6 of Wands. I feel like you guys are getting more worldly recognition. The 5th house is a house that grows, that's very fertile. So as Sagittarius as well, being near related with the ninth house near the top of the zodiac. It's a lot of potential for growth, for increase of wealth. And that comes typically through other people recognizing our success and promoting us, or, doing something for our benefit. And so that next to the Five of Pentacles in reverse to me is saying you guys can have some major breakthroughs through the support of people, through people seeing you, through people helping you. You can have some major breakthroughs to overcome some financial hurdles that you've maybe been experiencing, or the sentiment of lack that you could have been experiencing. Another potential for this as well is attracting other people into your life with the Six of Wands who recognize your greatness. And I think that it comes with this Truth card from you seeing your greatness first, from you wanting your greatness to be seen, from you shining it. And there's this kind of Leo energy to that of, I want to be noticed. I want to manifest somebody and the world being attracted to my energy and to my gifts. And so I think that's a huge part of a new moon in the fifth house, is this level of visibility and performing and showing yourself off. And I feel like the Six of Wands is a second indicator of that happening, or you guys stepping into that. This is a strong encouragement to step into this desire and action towards being seen, towards being visible. And with the Five of Pentacles in reverse, I think that this is going to help you overcome a lack mentality, either associated with money or associated with relationships, because I think you're going to be supported by other people. And that could mean that you're supported financially, or it could mean that you are supported by people loving you and finally seeing and witnessing you in the way that you want to be seen and witnessed. And so that's a really, really beautiful thing, but you have to ask for it. You have to see your own worth. You have to take the action here. The Ace of Pentacles and the Lovers in reverse to me is saying that there may be some kind of opportunity that you are not acting on, especially associated with other people or relationships. And that could be the reason why this new moon in the fifth house is sextiling Uranus in the seventh exactly. Whenever I see a huge thing going on with Uranus in the seventh, there is often some kind of like breaking, ending, or freeing up of current relationships. And it's not going to happen if you want it to be there. Whenever I see Uranus, it's just breaking us free of super old or toxic or weighted down relationships that are really not benefiting us. If you love someone and you know in your heart that they are helping you, disregard this, because it's not about them. It's about the people or the ties in your life that feel heavy. And I think with the Ace of Pentacles and Lovers in reverse, it's saying, I'm going to step out of the intoxication of that relationship or the denial of that relationship. Because remember, this is all about truth. So truth is the underlying message. You are seeing things clearly right now in every area of your life. You're seeing the truth of your own worth. You're shining your light, and people are coming towards you now. And then I think that's also going to allow you to see the truth of your own worth in relationships. And if someone doesn't align with that, you can also shed that skin as well, or shed that chapter as well. And then after that, I have the Four of Pentacles. So to me, I think that this is reminding me of Saturn and Mercury in the fourth. There is a need to plan long-term, save your money, and create and cultivate a sense of security. Ask yourself, where can I be better with my finances, or what am I saving for long-term? What are my long-term goals and objectives, and what is going to make me feel good? Because you are starting to get more attention, more income, more coming towards you. So now you have to be responsible and disciplined with what you're going to do with it, with Saturn and Mercury in the fourth, planning long term. You guys also have the Fool and the Temperance card. So definitely a new beginning, healing from issues of the past, maybe again related to that lack of money or lack of emotional support, lack of people seeing you and witnessing you as you would like. And so I think that the Fool and Temperance card are coming in here to wash your slate clean, make you feel actually rejuvenated, less traumatized, to be honest, by people or circumstances that could have been difficult, and giving you finally an opportunity to have a little bit of your time in the sun. And that's really what I feel like a new moon in the fifth house is about. It's about our time on center stage, in the sun, being popular, being wanted, being desired, and we all deserve that. And that might be uncomfortable for Scorpio rising. So maybe it's something that you have to get used to. But again, with Sagittarius, I see in the Truth card, there's a strong element of if you see your divine light and your worthiness, other people will see it too. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio. If that resonates, please like and comment down below to let me know. If you want to support this channel, then please consider joining the North Node Society to learn astrology with me, or you can always purchase an astrology reading from me in the description box below. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Sagittarius rising. So for you guys, we're gonna first start off by looking at Pluto, which is conjunct Mars and Venus in your second house. Then we're gonna get into the new moon, and that is because this Pluto is cultivating so much energy in our charts right now, even stronger than the moon itself. And being in the second house, you guys are going to have this revolution of your financial situation, your confidence, your sense of security, or even certain gifts or skills that you have. And then we're going to work in the new moon aspect of this. But Pluto conjunct Mars is asking us to really look at and reboot an area of our life that has had tension or conflict or discomfort for a while. And it's building and building and building, and it's been needing our action to make a change. And finally, that tension is being released. And Venus, I think, is going to help smooth over the edges that Pluto and Mars can make when it blows something up in our life. I feel like I should be putting that up right. And so I think that you guys may have had some long-standing issues regarding your finances. Maybe you guys, or your sense of self-confidence. Maybe you guys for a while have felt like you don't manage or budget your finances correctly, or you're overly relying on your partner, or you feel like you haven't had enough confidence to ask for things that you feel like you deserve. And so this is a total change and release of that energy, because we just cannot keep going like that. So I'm pulling a bunch of cards for you guys. I have the Queen of Cups, the World, the Seven of Cups, the Nine of Swords, the Six of Swords, and the Moon in reverse. I did flip the World upright because intuitively I just felt really called to. And so I always listen to that, because if it's always reversed in the deck, and maybe for some people it should be reversed in this group, for another group, and maybe not for others. Okay, application, interesting. I got that for another one. So I'm going to pull one more for you guys. An inner child. Okay. And then I'm going to pull one more astrology card, and then we can jump right in. Okay, Scorpio, I transform. Okay. So I'm going to start off with the application card. That one was about finally applying knowledge to things. Like, instead of feeling like you need to keep learning and learning and learning, but to actually like do something about it. And so if there has been some issue in saving up for something long term, or creating some kind of financial nest egg, or buying a house, if there's something like really like a big financial decision that you've needed to make or prepare for, the application card is telling me that it's time to take action on that. It's time to stop dreaming about it, stop thinking about it, and actually move forward. So if you have been budgeting for a long time for a house, it's time to buy a house. If you have been thinking about budgeting for a house, it's time to start budgeting for a house. And that might be different for everyone, but there is a strong connection here of security, of your roots, of preparing for things financially in the future, of knowing your worth, and all of those things require you to act now. The inner child card, I think, let me actually read what that says in the book, and then I'll get into that, what I think that is. Within each of us dwells an inner child, that part of us who remains small, innocent, and playful while the rest of us grew up. The child is calling you to now reconnect with the more childlike part of yourself, the one who believes in magic, who approaches life fearlessly, and who always has time to stop and play in a puddle or kick around the autumn leaves. This reconnection will enable you to approach life with a lighter heart and have more fun. I love that because this new moon is happening in your fourth house, which is related to our childhood. So if you want to understand your childhood, you're going to look at the fourth house cusp, the planet that rules that. You're going to look at any planets in the fourth house, as well as the moon and any planets aspecting any of those planets. So it's actually kind of a lot, but one of the major things is the fourth house. So what I see when I see that is our inner child. And it's so funny because my moon is in Capricorn in the fourth house. So my inner child is actually like an inner adult. I feel like I've always kind of struggled with like just being like playful. Anyway, this is not about me. So the inner child aspect I feel like is really coming in strong because this new moon in Pisces conjunct Jupiter, I definitely feel like is asking you guys to play, be creative, dabble. But then with Pluto and Mars and Venus in the fourth house, there is this other strong aspect of you becoming more serious, more committed, and less like bullshit in terms of your financial future and in terms of what you want to create. So I feel like there is a really interesting mix going on right now in the astrology for you guys, where I think that you need to be in this phase of dabbling, of creativity, of fun, but also in this phase of smartly and disciplinedly of preparing for what's ahead and what you want to create. So the mix of the inner child and the adult and honoring both of them within you. And Jupiter, I feel like, does that so well. It's the eternal optimist, but it also knows how to act on opportunities, how to make the most out of things. So it's living in the realm of the inner child, where it sees the potentiality and the possibility in everything. But at the same time, it's also living in a more grounded reality where it knows how to take steps forward towards its goals. And so I think that you guys are really being asked to do both, especially with this new moon making a sextile to Uranus in the sixth, which is about making changes in your daily life and your daily routine, in a way that feels maybe spontaneous and fun, or more liberating, or like it's going to lead to your liberation. So for example, you might want to change your job because you want to make more money to get some better house or something in the future. And so you're going to, in order to change your job, maybe it's best to do it in a way that feels really playful, or in a way that feels like you're not just settling down and being responsible and being adult, but you're like really looking at the things that you enjoyed as a child, the gifts that you have, and so on and so forth. So basically, there's this element of play and responsibility coming in strong. And again, with that sextile with Uranus in the sixth, a need to change things up, to change something about what you do every day in order to make these long-term goals happen. Okay. So now let me look a little bit at the cards because, okay, I'm seeing you guys have Saturn and Mercury conjunct in the third house. Really great for planning long term, really great for being super practical and having a really disciplined mind to achieve your goals. Also leads to quite a bit of self-criticalness and anxiety. And I think that's why I pulled the Nine of Swords. You guys might be kind of going through a little bit of that right now, where your mind might be a little bit of your foe. Next to that, I have the Six of Swords and the Moon in reverse. So I feel like you guys, though, are using this as fuel and not letting it stop you. I feel like you are using your self-doubt, your anxiety, your fear, to your advantage, and again, not letting it stop you. I think you're bringing light to it with the moon in reverse. You're bringing awareness to it. You aren't letting it control you in the shadows. And with the Six of Swords, you are allowing it to move you into a brighter day. So you're saying, yes, I have this anxiety, but maybe it's because I haven't saved up enough money. And now I'm going to use this anxiety to make different choices now, not be super hard on myself because I can't change the past, but I can change what I do moving forward. And so instead of being hard on myself, I'm going to tell myself, I fucked up. I'm going to do things differently in the future to obtain my goals. And so I feel like a lot of you guys, it will be financial anxiety. It could be anxiety about anything, but because we have Pluto and Mars in the second house, really challenging planets to have conjunct together right now with Venus. I think a lot of it could be financial matters and financial matters for the future. So if you are thinking long term, you are thinking, I want to buy that house, or I want to plan for this like long term security, or I want to have retirement, and you look at your bank account and you look at your decisions and you're like, fuck, I haven't been living and acting in alignment with what I want. Now it's time to apply with this application card everything I've thought about, everything I've wanted, everything I've learned about, and it's time to do it instead of just talking about it or thinking about it. And I also pulled the Queen of Cups, which again, I feel like that goes so much with this element of play that we were talking about with the inner child. That is next to the World card and the Seven of Cups, which I feel like, again, kind of goes to show that there may be some worldly, like, I'm like thinking of the 10th house, and I'm trying to, I don't know why my speaking is so weird today. But the World card, I'm seeing it as like getting attention in your career, having these long-term career objectives. But next to the Seven of Cups, I'm guessing that there's a lack of clarity there. And that's why I think we got the inner child card. So I think that's where that playful message is coming from, because I think that you guys are still kind of maybe changing up careers, or maybe don't really know. I feel like there's maybe some changes headed at you in terms of your job. And so maybe that's where that playfulness is. Like maybe you can dabble in things, try things, use your creativity, use your intuition, but not have this super kind of rigid view of what is success and view of what you should do. I feel like it's all about playing, enjoying, using your intuition, having fun in order to achieve that worldly success. And that might not be for every one of you, but I feel like there is some kind of, with the World card, some kind of completion of a cycle here. And it's asking you to step into one that's playful while also planning for the future. So it seems like really a dichotomy here for you guys. It's very interesting to have these two messages come through. But I hope that it resonates with you. And if it does, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want to support my channel, then I would love it if you would join us to learn astrology in the North Node Society, or consider purchasing astrology reading from me in the description box below. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Capricorn Rising. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your third house. But before we jump into that, I actually want to talk more about Pluto than about the moon initially, because Pluto is conjunct Mars and Venus right now, and it's in your first house. So really, really, really big deal, really big energy. I've been talking about Pluto Mars conjunct as this kettle boiling over, and it has to release steam. It cannot keep going. It can't keep increasing in pressure. It has to release, or it's going to freak out. And with that conjunction with Venus, I think that the release of this, while maybe initially volatile, will lead you and everyone to a calmer, more harmonious future, actually, one that is much more aligned with where you're trying to go, especially for you being in your first house of your sense of direction, of your embodiment of your life, your physical body as well. I feel like having this explosion or this release of tension here, again, is long time coming. And I think it's going to help redirect you in some really massive way. And it's going to come on the back of enlightenment and realizations about yourself, about life, about what you want. And maybe that can also come through conversation. So having these realizations through conversations, that's a potential as well. And I think that's why having the new moon in the third house is really beautiful for this, because it's adding in some of that divine insight into this kind of crazy situation that's going on right now. So let me pull a angel oracle card first for you guys. Higher thought. Beautiful. Which makes a lot of sense, because this new moon in your third house is conjunct Jupiter, which is associated with the higher mind. And the third house is associated with our conscious mind, or our thoughts. And so I think that higher thought is the exact explanation of this. I also pulled two astrology cards, the ninth house faith and Venus. Again, ninth house faith, this is a lot about Jupiter energy. This is a lot about belief and optimism and higher mind. And let's see what cards want to come out for my Capricorn Rising. You guys got the Emperor and the King of Wands. For some reason, I'm feeling a lot of resistance with these cards. They've been pretty good for everyone else, like flying out. And sometimes for some of the piles, every reading or so, there's like a group where the cards just don't come out and they don't pop out at all. And so you guys might be feeling some resistance to some of these changes. I know a lot of readers like to use the way the cards are behaving to understand how you might be feeling or how the situation around you feels. So you might feel like you're up against a lot of resistance, or like you are resistant to change for some reason. I'm going to try. Okay, there we go. And we got the King of Cups. The Eight of Pentacles. Wait. Nine of Pentacles. Oh, I need to read. Oh, I said the numerology. Nine of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, and the Seven of Wands in reverse. I forgot to mention the Emperor, the King of Wands, and the King of Cups are also in reverse. Okay, so I definitely feel like you guys are going through a really massive restructuring in your life. I think that's why the Emperor is in reverse, because there are current systems that you have set up in your life, current structures, current boundaries that you are questioning, that you are looking at. And I think it's because you are also examining your sense of confidence, your sense of willpower and self-worth. And I think that as you are reassessing those things, you are realizing the structures that you've built from the inside out need to be adjusted. I think that's what this huge pressure point is building in your first house, is asking you guys to do. It's saying there is something about your life that you have been tolerating for way too long. There are people, circumstances, events, thoughts, feelings that you have just been perpetuating for far too long. And that's why Capricorn, or Pluto, is in Capricorn. It's in your sign. A very slow evolution of the self is occurring over these years. And we are nearing the final degrees of Capricorn, and we are getting to the final edges of the transformation. We are about to transition at some point. I need to look it up when exactly it's happening. I think right now Pluto is at like 27 degrees of Capricorn. So, we only have a couple more degrees to go before we enter into Aquarius. So there is that final push that's happening for you guys right now. You are given that final opportunity to feel an incredible amount of discomfort to make some changes that you've had so long to make. And so I think that that's why Mars is coming in here, to push you over the edge, to push you past your comfort zone, to make you realize that these things cannot go on any further. These things that you've allowed into your life for far too long are not welcome anymore. And again, this is coming from a realization that there have been things that represent a former self that was less confident than you are, actually. That was less emotionally aware, that was less emotionally intelligent. You have evolved so much that you have become more confident, or are becoming more confident, are becoming more emotionally intelligent. Maybe you haven't realized how much you have evolved in those areas, but you are, and you have. And now the outside world needs to reflect that, and any last parts of you that aren't feeling that way need to catch the fuck up, basically. And so I think that you guys are truly going through this expansion period, and it's going to lead to a lot of stability within yourself, a lot of financial wealth with the Nine of Pentacles and King of Pentacles. It's going to create a foundation, a brand new foundation, with this newfound awareness of what you deserve. I feel like it's, again, creating a new structure in your life, in like any area of your life, or maybe all areas of your life. That's the thing about the first house, is it can literally apply to anything in your life, because it's you. The first house is you. And so I feel like you guys are creating a new structure for yourself that is updated, that has been overdue, that you've been trying to do for a long time, that is finally going to have some breakthroughs with it. And it's going to create something so solid that you are going to be like, all of that torture was worth it. All that turmoil, all that self-doubt, all the back and forth, the misfortune, the fortune that fleeted and went away, and all of it is worth it because you're going to have something finally tangible, strong, and hopeful. And I think that's why you got the ninth house. It's telling you, do not give up. Do not give up, because this is coming for you if you have the faith in yourself that these things will turn around as you make these changes. Then they will happen. And I pulled the Venus card, so I think for a lot of you, this could even apply to relationships as well. Maybe you guys have entered into relationships that reflected certain insecurities you have, or maybe your relationship with money has done that. Or maybe you've lacked emotional intelligence at certain points in your life and you've attracted partners from that place. And right now with Venus, the Venus card, I feel like you guys are turning those things around in this restructuring and attracting different kinds of love, different kinds of friendships, and different amounts of money. That is honestly a lot more. Let me go ahead and read this higher thought card out to you guys. Sometimes in moments of darkness and despair, all it takes to feel better is a decision to lift our thoughts to a higher, more positive place. Dude, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, you guys just need to believe in yourself, because I'm telling you that all this pain is going to be worth it, but you have to actually believe that it will be worth it for that to happen. Simple actions like seeking the company of an old friend or taking a walk in nature can often help to move us out of negative perspectives, giving us a new vantage point from which to view the current situation. So I think that could also be another message with the Venus card here, is if you guys are feeling negative, I think the people around you, the people that you trust, that your friends, especially feminine figures in your life, have a lot of support to give you and a lot of wisdom and perspective with this ninth house card that you may lack at some points, because you are going through a really big transformation. And so if that's the case, really lean on those people. Like, don't pull into solitude, because that's going to make it so much harder to progress. And you are choosing that. This is all a choice. It's a choice of perspective that I'm seeing right now. Because I think you guys, the stuff going on in your life is big. I'm not going to lie. It is really big energy. It is really big transformation. It is really uncomfortable. It is a lot of this darkness that you are bursting through or re-experiencing to leave behind. But in that process, you are emerging so much lighter. You are emerging so much freer. You are the butterfly. You are your fullest self. And I think you just have to go through this process. So don't get lost in it. Don't get lost in thinking that the process is the end, because it's not. The process is the process, and it's temporary. And you need sometimes people to bring a flashlight next to you and shine the light ahead and show you that, hey, this dark cloud and these trees hanging over you and creating that darkness ends in 10 feet if you just keep going. Don't sit here and think that that's the end of it, because it keeps going. You have the 9 Pentacles and King of Pentacles. Dude, you have so much left to be fighting for. And with the 7 of Wands in reverse, like, it's not time to give up. It's not time to give up, because you have so much to look forward to. The new moon in the 3rd house, I think, is giving you the opportunity to, again, think much more positively. If you want to have really amazing conversations with your friends that liberate you from your negative thinking. And especially because it's making a sextile to Uranus in the 5th, which is a highly social house. So I think that the more you get out into the neighborhood, the more that you connect with people, the greater that you're going to feel. So if you get invited to a party, if you have a friend calling you on the phone or texting you, answer those calls. Go to that party, connect with that friend, because it's actually through those people that you're going to feel like life has meaning, life has perspective, things are going well, and you won't be so down through this difficult time. The last thing I'll say is you guys have Saturn conjunct Mercury in the second house. I think some of you guys might be really worried about money and starting to get serious about it at this time. You might be like, all right, I've fucked around for long enough. Now is a time I'm finally going to budget. Now is the time I'm finally going to use my money sparingly. And you might feel the constriction, even if it's not actually happening like around you in your life, you might feel financially constricted. But what's beautiful is you have the Nine of Pentacles and King of Pentacles. So the actions you're taking now will lead you to long-term financial stability and success. So don't be afraid in the process of saving money. Be disciplined, but don't be afraid of the past or of your spending and anxious and worried. Like, just do the thing. Don't attach the emotion. And the reason I say that is because Saturn with Mercury is one of the most anxiety producing placements that we can have, and super self-critical. And so I just really want you guys to be mindful of that. You guys are working hard on your self-confidence. That is what you need to be working on right now, and disciplined on that, and your finances and your worthiness. And then those shifts in your life that you really need will start to happen for you. So don't worry about finances as much. Plan long term. Put in the practical steps, but please don't worry. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. And if you want to support my channel, then you might want to check out the North Node Society to learn astrology with me, or purchase an astrology reading with me, which you can check out in the description box below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Aquarius Rising. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your second house. But before we jump into the Pisces new moon, I actually wanted to talk first primarily about Pluto, because Pluto is conjunct Mars and Venus, a rare astrological event that is generating massive amounts of energy. And so I think it's going to be so essential to kind of cover that first and what that looks like. And that's in your 12th house, you guys. So I've been saying for all the groups that Pluto and Mars coming together is an energy of eruption, of long-standing tension coming to the surface. If you watch the overview at the beginning, you know what I'm talking about. And it's conjunct Venus, though. So I do think that there's going to be a proper resolution of this, or this eruption is going to bring ultimate harmony in our lives. Okay, I pulled the Tower card. Okay. Then I have the Nine of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, or sorry, Nine of Pentacles in reverse, Eight of Pentacles, the Emperor, the Ten of Wands, Nine of Swords in reverse, and Judgment. You guys got a lot of cards. What are you guys going through? I mean, I will say having this huge eruption in the 12th house is typically associated with endings. It's like two significations of transformation happening, likely through an ending. And so, just pull that card for someone. Okay, I'm just going to pull the Ascension card for you guys. And let's see, one Astrology card as well. Got Pisces, I believe. Okay, that's funny, since this is a Pisces new moon. Okay, definitely possibility of endings. With the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, maybe you guys... this is really interesting. Nine of Pentacles in reverse, Eight of Pentacles upright, or that's Seven of Pentacles upright. So I feel like this is some level of disappointment. So, okay, I feel like with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse next to the Tower, there might have been some kind of financial opportunity that you thought was going to work out, like, or some kind of, I say financial opportunity because you guys, this new moon is in your second house, but there could have been some kind of physical opportunity that you felt like was your golden ticket to success, to financial independence, and to the prosperity that you're looking for in your life. Whatever, it doesn't have to be financial, it could be anything, but I think for a lot of you it will be financial. And with the Tower card, I feel like it didn't work out, it fell through, and that led to some level of self-doubt or concern. But next to the Seven of Pentacles and the Emperor, I actually feel like it was either reworked, or like you started something new, or you were already working on something else and you went further into that. So I feel like there's another opportunity. So there's like, let's say there's two opportunities. One of them wasn't working out, and then the other thing actually was the right thing. And so this other thing, one of them fell away so that the right thing could emerge and become the pinnacle. And that's why the Emperor, or Smokey the Bear, is next to this. Because I feel like you guys were divinely redirected so that you could put all of your energy into this one really good idea, this one really substantial idea that you are meant to grow right now, that you are meant to put in a lot of the energy in right now. But with the 10 of Wands, I feel like you guys could be feeling burnt out in the sense that you've already worked towards whatever this 9 of Pentacles was, and then it fell a little bit flat. And so now you might be feeling like, tired or drained. And that's really also very typical of a lot of planets moving to the 12th house, especially Mars, which is our planet of energy. So you guys might be feeling a little bit physically down. Really great time to connect in nature, to bring up your belief and faith in the world. So sometimes with Pluto and Mars in the 12th house, like as I mentioned, it's this burst, this release of tension, something that was kind of long built up. And the 12th house is about trusting the divine, like trusting that the universe has our back. And so there might be something that challenges that trust and asks you to trust anyway. And I feel like that's what this was, is some kind of opportunity that didn't work out, that blew up in your face, that you guys thought or hoped would be different than it was, or better than it was. And now I feel like the divine is asking you to trust. And that's why you have the Pisces I believe card, because the universe still wants you to believe. And that's why this new moon is in your second house of finances, conjunct Jupiter. You cannot get luckier in terms of finances, in terms of physical opportunities in this reality. And so that's why I have the 7 of Pentacles and the Emperor and the Ascension card are all next to each other, because this was not a dead end. This was a divine redirection and a test of your faith. And it's asking you to go all in on something else. Build this other thing up a little bit more. And so I do think that you guys are tired, but I think that this is leading to an incredible realization, an incredible awakening with this Judgment card. And the Knight of Swords in reverse. The Knight of Swords in reverse can say that there was, this is so interesting. Okay, the 10 of Wands, the Knight of Swords, and the Judgment card are all together on a separate line. So I feel like the message that's coming across here is that if you guys had continued on that 9 of Pentacles path, the one that didn't work out, that situation actually was leading to burnout. It was like not leading you anywhere. It wasn't sustainable. And that's why we have the 7 of Pentacles after that, which is slowly and consistently working towards something really stable, really sustainable, long-term. Like it's literally someone's crops. So I think that you guys were on some kind of unsustainable path. And that's why you have 2 cards of burnout next to each other, next to the awakening card. It's like you are being divinely protected through this experience. So if you did go through this recently, you are protected, man. You don't have to worry. And with a new moon in the Jupiter in the second house, again, you have this financial opportunity coming to you. And it's sextiling Uranus in the 4th, which to me is indicating that it has legs, that it has long-term potential, that it's going to create freedom for you in the future, and not the same energy of being bogged down, overworked, overstimulated, overburdened. However, with Saturn conjunct Mercury in the 1st, you might believe that you're not ascending. You might have an incredible amount of self-doubt right now. You might be planning for your future and being really responsible and really disciplined and all of that, and that could be the positive manifestation of this. But some of you might mistake this destruction or this challenge as something that you did wrong, something that means something about you, when in reality, this is the best thing that could have happened to you. A lot of you, it's going to be financial, but again, it doesn't have to be. This could be anything physical. Regardless, I think everyone is going to have an opportunity for some financial blessings to come through with Jupiter aligning with this new moon in the 2nd. So I feel like you guys are having so many cards come through because you are so divinely protected right now. And you need to know that everything that's going down is so good, It just might take you a little bit longer to get to your goal because this is a slight bump in the road, slight redirection. But it's just because the long-term goal has shifted a little bit and is actually much better, much brighter, much more potent. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Aquarius Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want to support this channel, then you can do so by purchasing an astrology reading from me or considering joining the North Node Society, which is my membership to learn astrology. So go ahead and check that out in the description box below to see if you're interested. And I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right. And last but certainly not least, we have my beautiful Pisces Rising. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your first house. But before we jump into that, I wanted to talk more about Pluto, which is conjunct Mars and Venus in the 11th house. And it's honestly a really big deal. That's why I want to talk about it first. So Pluto and Mars, please watch the overview if you haven't already. Pluto and Mars are representing a explosion of energy, this tension releasing that has been building for a long time now. And this is conjunct Venus, which means that it's likely going to have a positive resolution in our life. It's something that is being released for our greater good. And it's in the 11th house for you. So many of you guys might have some kind of social connections that are rewiring themselves right now. So maybe new friendships coming in, old friends leaving, holding boundaries in different ways, responding to friends differently, feeling your way through relationships in a totally different manner. So you guys keep that in mind. If you're like, God, all these things are shifting for me and I don't know why, it's because these things have been a long time coming. You guys have needed to have a shift in these relationships for a while. Okay. Pulled a lot of cards for you guys because this is your new moon. So we want to see what you guys are experiencing. Okay, I just pulled the card opportunity. Oh, and opportunity and harmony came out together. And then the last one is the 4th house of roots. Okay. So really quick, let's go over your cards before we jump into the message. So you guys have the Devil, the 4 of Swords, the 10 of Cups in reverse, the Knight of Wands, the Death, King of Swords, 7 of Cups, the 5 of Cups in reverse, and 7 of Swords upright. A lot of people have been getting 7 of Swords, which is interesting. Okay. So again, social situations really switching up for you guys are a potential here. Feeling like you have some kind of blowout with a friend or some kind of discomfort in existing relationships, or even where you fit into the mix, where you feel like, God, I'm so tired of these long-standing issues, or I'm so tired of not feeling like I fit in, or even if this is talking about long-term goals, I am so tired of working towards this one thing and not seeing results. Like a lot of potential for newness to come into either our friendships or our goal sector. So let's go ahead and see what these cards say for you. First, starting off with opportunity, we have become aware of the opportunities you have even in this very moment. Life abounds with endless possibilities, and sometimes all it takes is to open to them by staying focused on the present. Time spent regretting the past or worrying about the future only keeps you seizing the opportunities as they open up to you right now. I will say the 11th house is full of opportunities and abundance. It's a house of growth and connection, helping you reach towards your long-term goals. And so with Pluto and Mars, there might also be this tension building around you guys maybe ignoring some opportunities that the universe has been bestowing you in connections and relationships and in any area of your life. The last one is harmony, number 7. It's possible to experience harmony even in the midst of chaos. This is because harmony comes from within and is not dependent on external factors. Choose to live more harmoniously today, embracing all that is without judgment. Take a moment to go within and connect with the inner sanctum of the heart of your being, where harmony always abounds, and consciously choose to bring some of that harmony with you wherever you go. And so again, I feel like there is disharmony in relationships right now, and that is possibly why we have the harmony card telling us that the things that erupt now, the things that are changed now because of that eruption, ultimately will bring more harmony. Okay, let's have a look because I feel like, okay, there's three different piles here, which means that there are three different messages to me. We have the Devil, the Four of Swords, and the Ten of Cups in reverse. So I definitely feel like, I mean, I pulled the Devil card before, and this one in another group, and this one specifically really reminds me of people bound together in toxic habits or unhealthy ways that lead to unsatisfying results. And that's why we have the Ten of Cups in reverse. Ten of Cups upright is the most beautiful card of harmony, of love, of connection, of fulfillment. And in reverse, to me, it's telling me that you have had some social connections that have left you feeling drained. With the Four of Swords, that have left you feeling tired, that have been based off of toxic habits, that have been based off of fear or insecurities, or they've made you feel bad. There's some kind of connection to other people that is not sustainable or fulfilling. And so I think that those are being really examined right now under the microscope to be changed. And after that, we have the Knight of Wands and the Death card. So definitely, I feel like as you guys commit to your own happiness, to what makes you shine, to what makes you vibrant in life, to what brings you passion, to what makes you confident and ambitious, and all of that, as you commit to that, there will be definitive endings with this Death card. There will be transitions into new relationships because the old ones will die away when they cannot match your incredible vibration. The Death card is also signifying a transformation within you, that you're becoming more confident. And then as a result, the external factors are shifting around you. And I think that's why this new moon is happening in your first house, because you guys are up leveling with Jupiter there. You are up leveling in your vision of yourself and in your version of yourself. It's like you're Courtney 2.0, and you are seeing yourself as this higher self who can achieve more, who has more to offer. And that's why it's making a sextile to Uranus in the third. I think it's liberating your mind to see all of your potential, that maybe you have really stuck yourself in this box of like, oh, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I want. And I feel like this time right now is taking you off the leash of your life and letting you roam free, letting you accept all these really beautiful parts of yourself. And that unlocking of your mind leads to limitless potential. And so I feel like you guys could have incredible realizations and conversations that help you understand how much potential you have, how much growth you are sitting on right now. And it's all going to make you more confident and passionate, which will then magnetize that new potential to you. So it's really, really powerful stuff going on here. The last placement we have is Saturn conjunct Mercury in your 12th house. So I think that the final cards here could be related to that, with the King of Swords upright, the Seven of Cups upright, the Five of Cups reversed, and the Seven of Swords upright. So you guys cutting through the bullshit. And I think as a Pisces, you guys are a little bit more prone, no offense, to the bullshit, because Pisces is idealist. Pisces is a romantic. Pisces is sometimes suffers from the illusion of life rather than being grounded into the reality of it, which can sometimes lead to addiction. And so any of those tendencies, avoiding life, avoiding reality, plugging into an illusion, all of that is being cut through right now with Saturn and Mercury in the 12th. You are gaining absolute clarity. Saturn is a planet of realism. It is aligning with our mindset with Mercury. And the 12th house is all about the ways that we self-sabotage, lie, become addicted, avoid, and all of that is being cut through. The BS is being cut through. No more with this King of Swords. You are seeing yourself clearly. You are seeing how you've contributed to your reality, how you contributed to certain narratives, and you are taking responsibility in this area of your life instead of running, instead of avoiding, instead of plugging into that illusion, like I was saying. And then Five of Cups reversed and Seven of Swords upright. I feel like this is going to, first of all, help you finally move on from some of the things that you've been running from, some of the parts of yourself that you have been avoiding, some of the pains of the past that you have held in your subconscious that you don't really want to face. All those things, those disappointments in life, those negative thoughts, you're starting to turn them around and see them much more positively. You're starting to heal from them. You're starting to accept all sides of yourself, even the shadow sides. And I feel like it's because of all that integration of the self that you are then up leveling as a person and becoming so much more confident, growth oriented, and free. And the last card we have is the 4th house. To me, you guys, this is saying that everything you are doing right now has legs. Everything you are doing is foundational to who you are. You are editing the foundation and growing it stronger. I just feel like it's the original manuscript and you are deleting certain words and then adding chapters and changing the storyline of your life in a way that has profound effects on your future. This is no average new moon, you guys. This is a really big deal with all these conjunctions. This is super energetic. And I wouldn't just say that at every new moon. This is real and this is profound. And I think that you guys have incredible potential right now if you seize it to change your story of your life and grow into a different type of person. If you change your roots, if you change your biology, if you change the way that you see yourself, you can grow into a totally new tree to whoever you want to be. And that's what I feel like the universe is trying to tell you right now. You guys have had enough going on in your life that now is your chance to shine. Now is your chance to make those changes. And I think a lot of them will start with your friendships and it will permeate into who you are as a person as well. So I hope that resonates, Pisces Rising. If it does, please like and comment down below so I know. And if you want to support this channel, then I would recommend purchasing an astrology reading from me or joining the North Node Society to learn astrology. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye.